The sinking of a prison ship called the Arandora Star in the Second World War sent shockwaves through Italian communities across Britain. More than 800 men were killed. Nearly 500 of those were Italians considered enemy aliens after the outbreak of the war. Well, to mark the 70th anniversary tomorrow, a memorial will be unveiled in Cardiff in memory of 53 Welsh Italians who were killed. Among them was Bartolomeo Rabaiotti, the great-grandfather of our business correspondent Nick Savini. He's been to Italy to trace his roots and learn more about the tragedy.
This is Bardi, a small town in the mountains of northern Italy, dominated by its castle and its extraordinary link with South Wales. That was never more apparent than in the tragedy of the Arandora Star. It was a ship carrying Italians and Germans who were living in the UK but were considered a potential threat by Churchill and arrested after the outbreak of the war. En route to Canada, the ship was torpedoed by a German U-boat off the coast of Ireland. More than 800 men died. One of them was my great-grandfather, Bartolomeo Rabaiotti.
Can you imagine to hear a thing like that, you know? It was terrible.
His daughter, my 95-year-old great-aunt Anna, was helping him run the family business at the time, first in Mountain Ash and then Pontypridd. She hasn't been back to Wales in nearly 60 years, but clearly remembers the night in 1940 when he was arrested by two local policemen.
We knew them all. They were customers. And they were very embarrassed, really, when they came to fetch my father. They didn't know, you know. They had to do it, but of course they didn't like it.
How was everyone then in South Wales when you were running the shop after that? Was everyone okay? Was it?
Oh yes, they were all right. And they were nice in Pontypridd. And they didn't break one window because in other towns, you know, they broke the windows, you see. But in Pontypridd, there were a lot of Italians in Pontypridd. We were quite a lot, you know. But they didn't do anything at all. They were very, very nice indeed. And our customers were all very nice. They've always been nice to us.
I've come to the local cemetery and this special chapel which has been built in memory of the 48 men from Bardi who died. They included my great-grandfather who never made it back to Pontypridd to see Anna or the rest of the family. Instead, his name, Bartolomeo Rabaiotti, is among the many who died that day 70 years ago.
He didn't stand much of a chance that day. For a start, he was 59, and like many of the men remembered in this chapel, he couldn't swim.
Ciao Beppe.
Ben trovato.
Grazie.
Benvenuto.
Grazie.
The local mayor, Beppe Conti, was instrumental in getting the chapel built. Like many, he was also affected, having lost an uncle. I asked him whether any other Italians went to the chapel.
Ci sono tanti italiani che vengono qui a Bardi a causa di l'Arandora Star.
Nella cappella noi abbiamo le fotografie dei 48 bardigiani.
He said at the cemetery there are the photos of the local men, but people from as far afield as Australia have wanted to send photographs of their fathers, uncles and grandfathers who perished on the Arandora Star.
Perirono nell'Arandora Star.
So how did so many families from this area end up in Wales in the first place? To understand that, you have to look at the history.
Many of the people here were from big families scratching a living on unproductive farming soil in the villages surrounding this market town. So they left and went to Wales where the economy was booming. They were hugely successful. At the time of the Arandora Star, there were more than 300 Italian cafes, shops and restaurants in South Wales alone.
One of them was run by the father of this man, Rodolfo Carpanini, who I met in the piazza. His father, John, was one of the survivors of the Arandora Star. He was later interned in a prison camp. In 1940, he was running shops in Merthyr Tydfil and Ebbw Vale and was arrested despite some apparently mitigating circumstances.
My father was interned for 5 years at the very same time that two of my brothers were serving in the British Army. one of whom in the parachute corps and the other in the service corps. And that's a sort of an ironic sort of contrast, if you like.
It's not hard to find people here with such close connections. This story involves many different parts of the world, including South Wales. But it's in this sleepy town in the mountains of Italy where the tragedy of the Arandora Star made its greatest mark.
Well, tomorrow, Nick will be at Cardiff St David's Cathedral as a memorial is unveiled to those Welsh Italians who died on the Arandora Star. There are very few survivors of the sinking, but tomorrow we'll hear from one of them, John Roberts from Llanelli, who's 89. He was a military guard on board and was picked up by a lifeboat.
Since I was a little boy, 9, I was used to jumping off boats in the Llanelli dock. There was coal boats in there, so I had a bit of experience there. So I thought, no, the chance I got, if I get in the water near them boats now, I got a chance.
The Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall were in Llanrwstyd Wells